Okay, let's begin. So, first of all, hi everyone, and welcome to this webinar. My name is Ellen, and I'll be the moderator for the next hour or so. And that means that if you have any questions, you'll be able to raise your hand in the when you click in the lower bottom menu. There's a raise hand function, and I can assign you to be able to speak. And ask the questions and make sure that you have space for that. If you do not want to ask questions or have comments verbally, you also have the option to go to the bottom menu as well to go to the Q&A box where you can type in questions anonymously, and I will make sure that I can ask the questions to the speakers on your behalf. So the webinar, just for your notice, will be recorded, but you will not appear in any way unless you're assigned to ask the questions. Then you can decide or have the option to turn on the camera depending on what you prefer. I think that was the practical information. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. We have Martin and Timm with us today as the panelist speakers, and they will take you through this topic of how to overcome challenges in SAP data integration with a focus on AI readiness. So I will just make sure that you can see my screen. Oh, before we jump into the presentation, I will just present you for a quick poll that we can just launch here. So just to get you a little bit tuned in on this topic, you'll be able to answer these two small questions just to get an idea of what's happening today and what we're going to talk about. And you can choose to answer them, or you can let them just be there. So yeah, let's go to the presentation. So we just have our agenda right here. So first of all, we have the intro, of course, which I've just mentioned. And then Timm will take you through the more AI readiness part, where how to modernize, why we should, and the benefits of that. And afterwards, Martin from Stretch Qonnect will guide you through the SAP part of how to unlock your SAP data. And afterwards, we have a quick Q&A session where you will be able to get your questions answered, or you can add comments. And also, you can be able to add comments in between the sessions or whenever you like, and I will make sure that they will be asked. So yeah, with that said, I will just give the control to Timm, who will take the slides from here, and then the speakers will present themselves.
Thank you very much, Ellen. I hope you can hear me. I think so. Zoom is a stable platform. So welcome to everyone to our today's webinar. It's really a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me here. My name is Timm Grosser, and I'm an analyst for over 15 years right now at the Business Application Research Center, mainly dealing with data management topics. And what BARC does is, as an analyst company and consulting company, we support companies to become data-driven and to adopt everything that's needed to be a real data champion. I make it short in this way. And today, I'm also happy to share some research results from our research today, and share also some of my project experiences, because that is what we really do at BARC. We do events, we do a lot of research stuff, survey-based, or writing a lot of research, individual research notes, and so on. Or we do consultancy and advise companies to become data-driven. So that's enough for me. I think Martin will introduce himself after my slide. And my topic today is how to overcome challenges in SAP data integration for AI. And to understand what AIs really are and why we should talk about AI, I've prepared one or two slides to so that we have a common base. And let's see if it works here. Yes, perfectly. One step. Whoop. Back. No, doesn't matter. So why we are talking about AI? Because I think AI is really a disruptive technology today, and it's similar to the invention of steam engines, for example, or electricity. And why is it so? Because it revolutionized our world and and how we deal with data today. Because we have such more opportunities to get in touch with data, not only is for technical persons, also for business user, and so on and so on. And what makes it really exciting is that a lot of attention is on AI today, and this is what I would like to show here on the left-hand side. If we see that Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, and Meta, only those 4 companies are spending $52 billion combined, and this only in the last quarter or in the latest quarter. That's really amazing sums here that come up for AI investment. And I think we will see a lot of progress in the next months in this AI section. And AI is everywhere. And I also think it's also everywhere in the company, isn't it? No. I don't think so, just be kidding. Because if you see on the right-hand side, AI adoption is lower. So we have really high investment, but we are just beginning our journey with AI. And this can be seen here on the right-hand side, where only 22% are rated as really integrating AI across businesses, while the other share of this the surveyed persons here are of a limited implementation or just exploring AI. But what I can say so far is that AI is really most important to most companies. And if we miss really to follow up with AI and integrate it somewhat in our data strategies, we will miss a lot of chances and opportunities regarding innovation, regarding automation, process efficiency, for example, and how to manage the whole data galaxy we have around us that lies in some cloud environments, that lies on premise systems, and so on and so on. But before we could go on, I would also like to share a glimpse or give you a short idea of what is AI. Because when I talk about AI, it's not only about talking about ChatGPT and Dolly and however you name it, all this generative AI things. We are doing AI since decades, thinking about predictive machine learning algorithms, for example, which predict events, trends, such company performance, for example. We also know recommendation engines that are available since day one, such the internet was invented, or Amazon is a place where we buy something and get recommended some other products around it. We have anomaly detection. I think that's one of the most important use cases I can think of. It's really just it describes patterns and identifies deviations to find opportunities. And only think about data pipelines, for example, or some deviations in your shop floor. It's really fantastic that AI could watch it, detect those anomalies, and protect you from really disasters that could be produced by some failures here. And then we have some features here that's more geared towards usability of business users, and that's natural language processing, which comes up with a great opportunity to enable business user really to use technical stuff to formulate queries against some machines or databases or something like that. That's really a great opportunity. And last but not least, it's the generative AI stuff here that helps us to understand our context in the data world much better and understand and support also humans as well as machines while using data and analysis. So, and what does this everything have to do with SAP? Our question for today is SAP the right environment for AI? And it's something I would like to bring those topics, AI and SAP, together. Because if we think of SAP, I think it's valid. It's true. SAP data is super important, super crucial for our business processes and contains a lot of insights and important data that we need also to feed to AI application. But that's not the end of the story. At the end of the day, we need much more than SAP data to have really valuable AI application. And if we have a look at SAP, so we have several tiers of challenges we need to address. It's a tier of data integration. It's about how to store data to build up a trusted foundation for AI. It's also to have holistic free access to all the data we need from different services, from different kind of humans that would or that needs the data to produce AI applications. And finally, we need applications on top of the stack to make all the SAP things. And is SAP now the right environment for AI? I do not think so. And why do I claim it in that way? Because we have done a survey. It's called the BARC Data Management Survey, where we have asked real SAP users how they use or utilize their SAP tools or what they are built for what purposes. And here, for example, for SAP DataSphere, because I choose this system, because it's the nearest or the closest to the all AI stuff, we see that SAP DataSphere is mainly used for classical stuff like data warehousing, self-service analytics, data integration. And only 5% now use SAP DataSphere for AI and machine learning. Also for other new stuff like data products and data mesh and however you name it, it's really less here on the use case side. And why is it so? Because we will not find each capability we need for AI in one environment. And that's not only valid for SAP, that's valid for each kind of environment you can think of, for Microsoft, Amazon, and so on and so on. And we also asked, and this is from a BARC resource here, what we need to use AI. And as you can see here, we need to modernize our existing architecture, and we need to overhaul existing data management architecture to figure those two things out here, or to point these two things out here. So that's on a very high level, but most people, this is the message here, agree that we have to move, that we have to modernize something, that we have to modernize our old architecture to become ready for the future, to become ready for AI, for example. And if you ask me what in concrete to do, I could only give you here at the moment a typical consultant answer. It depends. It depends. But I'm looking forward to share some insights what you have to look for if you thinking about data, new modernizing data management architecture or the existing architecture. So coming back to SAP, what does it mean? That we have also to open our SAP ecosystem. So I think two of the most crucial things here is that we have to free our SAP data. We have to free our SAP data, and we have to combine it with other SAP data. Also, we need to extend functionality and implement new use cases, but that's not so easy for SAP, because SAP is only a part of the overall ecosystem. So we need to broaden on the strategy and include really all databases, or nearly all databases, or much more databases to be ready for AI, because we have or we have the need also to implement other kinds of data storage. For example, listed here, it's knowledge graphs, vector databases, foundational models. We need multimodal data integration for AI, because it's not ETL only. We need the holistic governed data access really to that the SAP data and the other data is ready and accessible for each kind of application you can think of. And only focusing on SAP-centered on a SAP ecosystem is the wrong way here. And therefore, we find best practices in the market that SAP is combined with other platforms like Microsoft, Amazon, for example, and all the hyperscaler stuff. And why is it so? Because we face some challenges in the SAP ecosystem, like scope of supported use cases and models isn't broad enough for most companies to cover all the use cases they can think of. Second, I have to wait here. Second is the ecosystem integration, for example, because we do not use only SAP tool or SAP certified tool to do our analysis, because we have lots of data scientists out there and other AI skilled persons that would use the tools or the tools they would think of that they are the best for their use cases. We have lack of governance and quality capabilities within the SAP systems, still managing SAP master data management, for example. And now we have to manage all master data across all systems in the company, and it's really hard to do it in SAP systems, for example. We have missing key functionality, and I only give you an example here. Also from our BARC data management survey, 40% of all people say here that SAP DataSphere has missing key functionality, whatever it is, but they stated it's really out. Also, we have some integration stuff like coverage of integration styles is very hard, and the connectivity to the underlying source systems at the end. Today, AI is a really broad topic. We would like to focus on data. If you talk about AI, we have to talk about AI applications, models, and data. And we now would like to talk about data integration. And let me tell you what data integration is about in the context of AI, because it's somewhat different to classical ETL processes. Here on the right-hand side, we see a typical process of an AI or ML model. And between these different tiers here, we need, of course, data integration, and we need different data integration styles to fill the next level with the right data. For example, label data is something about enriching data and tagging data so that machine and also human are ready to understand it. So we need much more context information here added. In the engineer features, we're really talking about transformations, cleansing, formatting inputs, and so on. That's a typical ETL stuff. Then we have also selecting ML, the right ML techniques, and to feed those ML models finally with the right test data in a special style. So we have a very different approach, and we have combined different ETL or data integration styles here to be successful with our AI finally. Also, what I would like to highlight here is we need also data integration tools that are also manageable by data scientists and ML engineers and also business users, because they also have to prepare data. They have also to prepare the features so that the models, the AI models, get the right input. So we need the right interfaces, and those platforms should not be so complicated or so technical. And from this on, I would focus on 3 top challenges or highlight 3 top challenges. There are many, many more, but for SAP data integration, I would like to point out 3. The first one is garbage in, chaos out. Yes, that's about data quality. Data quality is really an issue, not only for AI, it's only for BI and analytics. And we could also prove it because we have also a BARC trend monitor in place that appear 1 time a year and ask the BI and analytics leaders out there, what are the main problems while doing data and analytics? And data quality is under the top 3 places year by year for decades right now. And the truth behind it, everybody is talking about data quality. Everybody is recognizing that data quality could lead to a real issue, but nobody has solved it right now. But I think it becomes more crucial right now because AI leads also to automated decisions. And if there is bad data quality in there, it could be really, it could have a really bad impact finally. as you could here see on my next slide. The impact of bad data quality can be very apocalyptic. You all know this guy here, and I think that's a good example of bad quality that starts to let machines think that all humans are weak and bad and we have to destroy them all. So that should not be the future, but jokes aside, it could really dangerous for companies. As you could see it here, I've posted some examples here for Air Canada. For example, a chatbot starts hallucinating some answers to a passenger and gives the wrong information, and it ends up really in a court discussion and a real image damage for Air Canada. Zillow, for example, has implemented an AI application that that posted initial cash offers for homes. It was at the time where COVID comes up, and they would like to reduce the interaction between persons. And what finally happened is this AI bought homes for higher prices that then Zillow was really able to sell them. And finally, they are now planning to lay off 2,000 employees, and that's really dramatic. And on the right-hand side, here you see an example of racial bias. So if you get wrong data quality here, that could be really, really misleading. Second one here is no transparency, and that's one of my most favorite ones here, because missing transparency leads to missing trust or no trust, to low efficiency. We are not able to automate things, and even to penalties if we could think that we violate the EU AI Act, for example, if we are not transparent about our AI actions. And what is transparency really about? Let me jump to the next slide. It's about knowing things about our data. As you can see here, we have a lot of tins here without a label. We do not know if someone asks us, where's our customer data? We cannot know where it is, how it is used, and so on and so on. What we have is a warehouse, and the data landscape could be much more complicated than this warehouse here. So if we would like to find our customer data, we have to open up each tin and look inside to have this customer data. With a label, for example, we are more efficient because we get the information, where it does come from, what the purpose of the product is, how we name it, how it could be used, and so on and so on. And these are also the most dominant questions we hear also in the field, or the most missing information. And if we get all the information, we are much more efficient with our data. And it's not only for humans, it's also for machines, because machines also need context information to understand and to interpret data in the right way. And the way to do so is to manage metadata. We have not only to care about data, we have also to care about metadata, because metadata, so really context information from data for profiles, classification, and so on, helps us to get more transparency, to support governance processes, or even to automate data management processes. They help us to find, govern, share our data. But therefore, we need the ability to extract metadata and to process metadata and to provide it to the end users. So next slide, and the last point I would like to point out is data integration for AI is much more than ETL finally. I've mentioned it before, and I only would like to focus on the left-hand side on the graphic here. It's really a combination on different integration styles that varies in frequency, in complexity of data transformations, and so on. And we see here data virtualization, streaming, change data capture for real near-time integration. We have extract, transform, load, and the extract, load, transform things here happening. And we must really be able to combine each of them to cover all the AI use cases out there. And with this, I would like to come to my final slide today. It's a conclusion here. its AI/ML initiatives depend on multiple data integration. So we have to be as flexible as possible. And it's not just ETL or ELT. We have to combine these different styles. And therefore, I really invite you to challenge your SAP data integration, because SAP data integration is good technology, but it covers not all use cases. And you should really validate or challenge the technology on a regular basis against your current and future enterprise. I'm sorry for that. Alan, maybe you can jump back for your future processes. Then take data quality and transparency really seriously and make it a strategic component, because it's really important. It's essential for a really successful SAP data integration, not only SAP's general data integration strategy. And select a data integration tool that combines all these different styles and problems I've mentioned here, based on the flexibility, breadth of style coverage, governance, and ease of use. Ease of use is also a very important point to make people really using the software at the end of the day. And it must be as simple as possible and automated as possible, so that you're not stuck into into data management standard tasks or something like that. And finally, start with small low-risk projects that leverages AI-ready features. That's a famous think big, start small, but it pays off. And with this, I'm done with my slides here, and happy to answer your questions if there are some at the moment. Otherwise, I'm happy to hand over to Martin. I think you are muted, Alan.
Yes, sorry. Thank you so much, Tim. I actually got one question for you, because you mentioned a bit about SAP AI adoption, of course, and the question is, do you view Gen AI or AI in general in BI as the key driver for enterprises to think about how they build or utilize their data foundation or data architecture in the best way?
I think the main point is you have to think about what you really need. So the use case view. Gen AI is really a very important feature, and you should also care that you're fit for future, fit for AI, of course. And it must be a part of your strategy you define for BI. So it is a key driver. Yes, it is a key driver, but you should focus more on the use case side, so that you are really ready to cover all your use cases to get most of your data initiatives at the end. I hope this answers the question.
I hope so too. If we don't have any more questions right now, let's jump into Martin's presentation. I'll give Martin the remote control to manage his slides. There you go.
Okay, thank you. So great story, Tim. Really interesting. Let's see how we can take this further into the SAP space and see if we can demystify SAP a little bit. Just some short notes about us, Stretch Qonnect. So we're based in Scandinavia. Been around for around 20 years. So Sweden, Denmark, Norway. We've got customers also in Europe, but our main home geographic location is in Scandinavia. We're a Qlik Elite partner. We're also a SAP partner. We have some other partnerships as well, but I think the Qlik and SAP partnerships would be the most important and big ones that we're having. And then So why are we talking today? Why is Stretch Qonnect here? So we're coming from an SAP background. So myself and many of my colleagues have been working with SAP for many years. And for the last many years also with Qlik. And we've actually been part of Qlik organization, part of the Qlik R&D team for over 10 years, helping Qlik developing SAP connectivity, integrations, solutions to help with the Qlik portfolio to get access to the data from SAP to Qlik. So you can say we speak both languages. We speak the SAP language. We understand the German abbreviations and table names and field names, and we understand Qlik and that platform and cloud platform. So we're hopefully in a pretty good position to take this data to the cloud. Couple of words about Qlik. If you haven't worked with Qlik before, you might know Qlik from QlikView, QlikSense, which is of course the analytic part of dashboarding, reporting, analytics. Qlik has been around for over 30 years, and the last number of years, I think Qlik has made a big shift in the market, moving to a data platform company. They've done some pretty interesting acquisitions, both in terms of machine learning, Gen AI, Attunity for integration, and the latest one last year was Sahlin, which was acquired and included into the Qlik platform. So as you can see, Qlik is a company around 3,000 employees, over 41,000 customers, global big player, one of the biggest players in the world in IT, and by far one of the biggest one within data analytics. And if we look at what there we are. We look at how Qlik explains a little bit on what they do and who they are, which is also, I would say, how we at Stretch Qonnect define what we're doing. So we help customers and companies from data to outcome. How do we do that? Where there's data everywhere. So that data needs to be moved somewhere. So we have a move. We need to take that data from the sources. Might be SAP pretty often, could be any other source as well, Salesforce, Oracle, Microsoft, what have you. We have to move that data, and we need to transform that data to make it available and interesting for analytics. We also need to trust the data. And what does that mean? Well, data quality. Timm was talking a lot about data quality. Data quality is absolutely key, I would say. And of course, we've heard garbage in, garbage out, or chaos out. That's always been relevant, and it's super relevant still. But with the platform from Qlik Talent Cloud, we can also monitor. We get a score on the data quality score. We can act on the data quality, make sure it's improved, and maybe also equally important is to define some governance and ownership to make sure that the data quality is not just fixed once. It's constantly being taken care of and owned, and to have people accountable for making sure the data quality is constantly high. Then we need to give access to this data somewhere, typically in a cloud data warehouse. So we can see the big players down here, Amazon, Databricks, Google, Azure, Snowflake, and so on. So Qlik Talent Cloud, we don't really care, or Stretch, we don't really care what data cloud platform you're using. We're agnostics. We can move your data from any source to your source, to your target, choice of target, which is, of course, also super nice to not be locked into one vendor. And if you, for one reason, choose to swap cloud provider in future, we can also help you move that from one cloud provider to another with the Qlik Talent Cloud platform. So when you have the data in place and it's been transformed and prepared, we need to analyze, predict, and have some answers. Analyze, of course, that's the traditional, maybe an analyst. People are actually sitting with dashboards, reporting, drilling down, working with the data. And then you need to act, and there should be a good outcome of that. And we can also use machine learning to predict the future, do things that a normal person can't do. So that's a big part of this machine learning part. We also have Qlik Answers, which is for unstructured data. 80% typically of a company's data is unstructured data. And previously, we haven't been able to get access to that. Now we can with Qlik Answers, and that will help with a big picture of using AI. So, and then, of course, as I said, act on the data and have some outcomes of that. This is Qlik Talent Cloud, and it's the way we at Stretch Qonnect work. So Qlik Talent Cloud latest product, I would say, where Talent was integrated into the cloud platform. We have 200 plus connectors who can pretty much connect to any source you might have. We can use APIs and stream the data. Transformations, which are low code or no code, should be easy for you to create your transformations, to deliver data products for the users. And of course, the big players like SAP and so on, we support them. And there is a trust score for AI, which helps you get sort of the data quality part again. So can we use this data for AI, or is it going to be the hallucinations that Timm were talking about where something completely weird comes out? So we make sure that that's not happening. But to move into SAP, we talk to a lot of SAP customers, and so do you, Timm and BARC, and I think we have some of the same feedback from them. What are the cornerstones? What are they struggling with today, or what are the challenges? And I try to use this 20 minutes or so to try to demystify the SAP sort of world, make it easy to access and actually work with. It doesn't have to be super complex. So one of the things you were also talking about, Timm, is freeing your SAP data. A lot of customers are having more than an SAP system. They want to combine the SAP data with non-SAP data. As I said, typically Salesforce, Microsoft, a lot of files laying around. They need to make the data available for self-service to the business in an agile way, not always the easy case to do with an SAP system. Shorten time to market, what does that mean? Well, in today, you need to really act fast. Things are happening all the time. We have the pandemic, we have wars, we have disruptions in the supply chain. Things are happening all the time that you need to adapt to. And the time to market from a business users are coming with requirements on look at data in a different way, or calculating or viewing or predicting or playing around with the data has to be quick. And the customer don't really have time for resource constraints or other hurdles from being in an SAP system. So bring your data out from SAP. We still love the data coming from SAP, but we want to make sure it's available in a more flexible way, combined with other data, and to play around with the data for the business. And then we have data quality. Again, we talked about that. So garbage in, chaos out. We also see that a lot of customers are planning, of course, to move to S/4HANA. Some of you participants here today are either on the way, or you have been on the way for a while, or you're planning to go for S/4HANA. Well, one really important thing is data quality. So why bring data issues and data quality issues from your old ERP systems to the new S/4HANA system? Make sure the data quality is improved before doing that. And as I mentioned earlier, define a governance and a stewardship around the data. So you don't do just once, you keep track of your data quality constantly by having defined ownerships and stewards for this. And of course, you make the data AI ready, not just for people to look at, but also for AI to use. And another thing we've seen from talking to SAP customers is to try to minimize the freeze periods, because if you are looking at a migration project to S/4HANA from your ERP system, typically we talk about months and years. And during those projects, you will have quite a number of freeze periods where you're not allowed to do any changes, because that would then, of course, jeopardize the migration project because it constantly changes. But bringing the data out from SAP into your choice of cloud storage will help to minimize the freeze periods on agile business analytics and the whole data side. We also see customers using Qlik Talent Cloud to prep for S/4HANA migration. So they want to look at the state of their data. What is the data quality? What issues do we have? How many systems do we have here? And what's duplicate, and what can we do to make sure that when we plan the new S/4HANA platform, we do it the best way? So again, is this super complex and scary? No, it doesn't have to be. So I'm happy to go into more of a solution and of our approach, how to make this simple and demystified. And the thing that probably is a hidden secret, but it's a really cool thing, is the SAP accelerators delivered by Qlik Talent Cloud. So we can make this complex simple. Why? If you do things more than once, then you can automate it. And that's sort of the mantra from when we develop these things. So you will have an SAP system somewhere and you want to bring that data over to your cloud warehouse, data lake, what have you, on your choice, and then do analytics on top of that. Thank you, Ellen. And really important here is to try to reuse the SAP standard. So why reinventing the wheel all the time? So for that, we have some predefined end-to-end SAP accelerators pipelines going all the way from the left-hand side on the SAP side to the right-hand side on the analytics. And these are available to download and install. You can just activate, run, and then enhance it. So I'll take you through, for the coming slides, I will take you through the different steps on how this is done. But it's based on SAP standard, and we can easily implement the data pipelines. Thank you. So I'm going to talk about this picture in the coming slides a little bit. I think I've called it landing layer, transform layer, storage layer, transform layers, and so on. The thing is, we take the data through different layers and we do things with the data on the way. First one, use the predefined extract process. So this is to use the SAP extractors or tables, reuse SAP standard. Again, there are so many predefined ways of loading data from an SAP system to another SAP system. We just reuse that technology. We don't invent anything new. We reuse the SAP standard way of loading data to another system. In this case, it's Snowflake or Databricks or Google or Azure. But again, don't reinvent, use the standard. So here we have some predefined connections and load scripts. So you activate them, you get them running, and that will, the system will know where to go on the SAP side and fetch the data, and then move the data over to your storage. This means that we can reuse SAP standard Delta functionality. So no need to rebuild that as well. If you can and want to, you can use CDC for streaming your data real time. So we can go to the underlying database tables, or we can go to the application layer. So independent, if you're on a HANA enterprise license or a HANA runtime license, this is both supported, both of them. So it's just a matter of going to the database or the application layer. Some of the examples here we're going to talk about is order to cash, which is pretty standard and one of the most asked for solutions where you have orders, deliveries, invoices. Obviously, we have inventory management, pretty heavy area in SAP that we can also make very easily available. And of course, financials and the relevant master data for that. So when we, I talked about this. So when we go into the first layer, so what happens here? So we have a landing layer. This is where we are using the source data from the multiple SAP extractors. So we just activate them. There's predefined load scripts. You land your data. This is the raw data. So this will be the SAP like table names, field names, and data types, and so on. So this is brought over together with the metadata, but this is to just get a landing layer of the SAP data, and then you can start working from there on. Of course, still we support CDC for stream your data or Delta enabled triggered. So you move the big data once, the historical data, but from that moment on, you just stream or load your deltas and changes. And it just pretty simple, looks like this. With the accelerators, you just get the objects ready for you. You go in and set, prepare and run. And all the code behind the scenes that's delivered by these accelerators are just activators. You don't have to do any coding for this. You just select which ones to prepare and run, and then you get the code. So from this example, it will just map your German SAP names of sources to the right-hand side, which will be what they will be called in the next layer. Super simple, raw data from SAP, but it's ready to be used for the next phases in your pipeline. So next time we'll go to the storage layer, and this is where you can start working a little bit with your data. You can apply some simple business logic. Very important, also Timm mentioned about metadata. We bring in the metadata and we demystify the names and so on. So short German names for tables and fields will be given business-like names that you have from your SAP system. Of course, whatever language you're running in SAP, those metadata will be coming in. So this will prepare the data and it will store the data in your choice of storage. Now we go a little bit further and just say that's also, again, super easy. Up here to the right, you select your data objects you want to activate, you prepare and run, and all this is generated. So this will then give you the more understandable names for the fields. You might do some simple calculations. You might do some simple, I don't want to have these fields, just ignore them and not using them. But that's a simple prep for the data for the storage. And then you go to the next layer where you start using more of a business logic. Now you want to do transformations. So you want to apply your ELT transformations. You want to combine your dimension data with your fact table data or your transactional data. You want to apply joins and mappings. This is where you start building the logic. So here you can do that via activating the predefined scripts as well. So you run and prepare. It's already there for you. It will know how to combine, for example, orders, invoices, deliveries, master data. Important to say here is as well that every single step here is also, of course, open to do some extensions or changes yourself. So every single step will give you this standard flow of your order to cash data, your finance data, your inventory data, what have you. Then whatever extra fields or functions you would like to add to your specific company, you just add that. So that's just to give you a starting point of doing all the basic work for free. It's just there for you. And you just need to do what's specific for your company. So going through the transformation layer, as you can see, we have the transformations here. We select which ones of the transformations delivered by the accelerators that we want to activate, run, and they're there. And as you can see, you have the generated SQL script you can look at. So you can go into every single transformation and have a look at what is actually generated behind the scenes. What does the SQL look like here? And it's being pushed down to your source of, to your choice of cloud storage. So this is just defining the SQL queries run on Azure or Google or Amazon or Snowflake. You can also in here, in Qlik Talent Cloud, use AI to generate your script. And you can, there is an SQL prompt where you can create your own SQL if you think that's super interesting. Some people do. You can also do the easy part, just with natural language. Just write simple English. I want to have my orders and invoices combined into one with some master data from material and products in just normal language. Qlik Talent Cloud will understand. They're going all the way back to the field names and table names from SAP and will create that SQL for you. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do in the future because AI will help me or my colleagues do all that work. But still, you will tweak and enhance this to fit your purposes, but it will give you a lot for free to start with. Next layer is the data mart layer. So this is sort of doing the final step before you start analyzing. This is to do the prep for your star schemas, your data marts, what have you. This is where you define, for example, a sales star schema or a sales star schema for Europe or whatever you want to do, your finance data mart for certain parts of your organization. This is where you define those data marts, star schemas, cubes, what have you, for the end users. Still CDC, so if you have Delta triggered or stream your data, it will go through each layer in real time, so you don't have to do anything. It's just activated and it follows the previous steps on how the data should be mapped and transformed and moved over to the star schemas. And this is where you make the data ready for use by Qlik Sense or Qlik Cloud for the analytics layer. This is the last step before you go in to actually create the dashboards. That's sort of the next step is then just, that's a typical star schema. I think this is from Snowflake. For those of you who are familiar with SAP, you will see this comes from the order items, sales document order items. You will have the master data here as dimensions with the attributes on that master data. Everything is brought with through the accelerators. So all that's done for you. Last layer, analytics layer. So this is where we have some predefined Qlik dashboards. Use them if you want. If you don't want, you can create your own, or you can use the ones part of the accelerators and just enhance them. You can change the color, the logo, the names, or you can add any other information you want to have in your dashboards and reportings. But you have a number of set predefined dashboards. They are fully customizable as everything else in this accelerators, but will give you a starting point to bring your data from all the way to from raw data through the layers, through analytics, in a fraction of the time it will take to build all this yourself. Yeah, so that's how it could look like. This is one of the predefined dashboards for order to cash. We have your orders, fulfillment, billing, KPIs. You have some graphs, beneath there, and then you can go down to the underlying detailed data. So, I hope it made sense to look at why do things manually and spend months and months and months on something that a lot of people have done before. Activate the accelerators, get the base foundation up there, and only spend time doing what's really necessary for you, for your specific parts of the organization that's different from your SAP systems than the standard. So predefined connections, already there for you. You don't have to set it up. You just activate. Of course, you will give a password, but everything else is sort of predefined. The whole code is predefined. ELT, so the system will know how to handle the data coming in from SAP. It will know how to interpret, combine, transform your data. It will know how to create your predefined data marts. It will have everything ready for analytics. And you have the predefined analytics as well with the dashboards from end, starting with the raw data in SAP all the way to the end with your dashboards. I would say you will, depending on how different your SAP systems are to the standard, you will save between 50 to 80% of the time doing this manually. And of course, you will save a lot of quality time because you don't have the issue of manual errors. So this is just a no-brainer, I think. Get started and get to the goal quickly, and then use the time to do what's specific for your company. Everything, as I said, is fully extensible, customizable. So you will get a standard SAP flow, data flow from A to Z, and then you can add whatever you on top of that. And of course, add non-SAP data. That's also one of the important things here. This will give you the whole data pipeline for SAP, super easy, super quick. And then you can start working on your other sources, if that's Salesforce or Oracle or Microsoft, what have you, bring that data in and combine that. You also get full data lineage, which is very, very interesting, I think. Especially we have business users, self-service. You want to be able to see, where does this data actually come from? What's happening with my data through the pipeline? What transformations does it go through? What calculations are there to understand the end result? When I look at this data, what's the story behind? And also for an administrator to go in and see, okay, I have this data objects. This is what's happening with my data from the source to target. What is the consequence if we change anything? So if we change something in the data structure, would they change something with the data? Where's the data used, and how do we make sure that we go on and fix those issues if we change to the architecture of the data structures? We have, of course, as we talked about with data quality, with Qlik Talent Cloud, we have full visual of data quality with a score and a way of constantly working to improve that data quality. And we do have what's called an AI score to let you know, okay, we have all this weird data, and just don't throw it into a knowledge base or a database and try and hope for the best with AI. We need to make sure that the quality of that AI data for AI is as good as possible. And again, mentioned this is in the beginning, with Qlik Talent Cloud and with the accelerators, we are totally cloud agnostic. So whether you have already chosen a cloud platform for the future, and Amazon, Google, Snowflake, Azure, or you are looking into your future choice of cloud platform, we don't really care. We can support you, whatever target you choose. We don't want to lock you in. So I tried to demystify SAP integration a little bit. Having been in this business for many, many years and worked with extracting SAP data, I know how hard it is. I know also how difficult it is sometimes to understand what to do with SAP data. And just if there is, if this has been done many, many times before, just reuse that. Make sure you you reuse what others have done, and just do what's really important for you to make you sure you have all the data and the full picture. That's sort of my message to you. I think I have a few minutes for a Q&A.
Yeah, so we have one question. I think it was when you touched upon the data mart analytics layer, maybe, where you mentioned that that the data is usable in Qlik Sense and Qlik Cloud. So the question here is it compatible with other data sources such as Power BI in this case?
Yes, we love Qlik and we go with Qlik very often, but of course, the whole accelerator part through the to the QTC layers that can be used by Power BI, Tableau, whatever. So it's up until the data mart layer where you actually present the data for the business users with the cubes, the star schemas, and so on. Then you can use Power BI or any other tool on top of that. No worries.
So if you have any questions, now is the time. We have a few minutes left.
Maybe
Otherwise, I think you have a question.
Because thanks for the presentation, Martin, here. So I'm very fascinated about the accelerators and what they could really do. Just wondering, are there also accelerators in place that automate, I would say in that way, the AI to feed data or to feed AI models with data? Or is it just for BI and analytics and all the stuff what Qlik typically do?
No, it's also for AI, because when you go through the layers from the transformation layer or storage layer, you prepare the data. What's important there is actually make sure the data quality is right. Make sure we bring the data somewhere. And that somewhere could also be for AI. And then you leave probably the data pretty untouched. You make sure the quality is right, and you make sure you have all the data available, and then you leave that for AI. And then in another track in your pipeline, you can take it further to analytics, where you maybe prep and transform the data a little bit more for people to start using with their tools. And so you will have sort of two tracks within the pipeline, one with more raw data with a higher data quality for AI, and another one where you prep it for with some business logic and so on that you don't need for AI.
Right.
I don't think we have any other questions, but one thing I've noticed is that the poll I sent out in the beginning, oh, we have one. Can we use PBI reports instead of Qlik BI part? If yes, can we then have automatic data model for?
Yeah, so up until the dashboards, yes. So Power BI can be used on top of this. And so the accelerators will then build the data marts or the cubes in, for example, Azure or Synapse, and then that will be ready for Power BI. So you can easily hook up PBI on the predefined data models in the data mart layer. So, yep.
Thank you for that. If that didn't open any other questions, I think it was just nice to mention that some of the results from the poll was that when we asked what is the main challenge you face when you work with or manage SAP, then people typed in that exactly to understand where to find which data in SAP, the structures and the tables, lack of harmonized data, performance, and then find it and validate it and getting real-time data.
Yeah,
I think that's harmonized with what you talked about.
Great. And I think you mentioned this in the beginning, but this is recorded, so you can view this on demand as well and share with your colleagues, people who attended here. And of course, if you have any questions back to me or Timm, our contact details are in the presentation, and don't hesitate in just getting back to us if you have any questions or want to have a look at the POC or a demo. Super happy to set that up.
So thank you for the session, and let's round up.